Okay, we may have missed the beginning of the meeting. May have missed the beginning of the meeting, but on our video, so I apologize for that. At any rate, so here is the board. I am the president. Roger Owens, who just spoke, as the vice president. Lisa Diaz Nash is vice president. She also happens to be the mayor. And Scott Long, who's been hosting the refreshments, is one of our newer members. Wei Ai is one of our newer members and has already made a big impact with the quality of his work as secretary. Margaret Neiman is here. Margaret has been with us for a long, long time and is sort of semi-retired as a board director. But she's great when you want to know what happened a long time ago. Mark Greco is, I think, outside manning the desk while we get going, but he's also been with us a long time, was the former president until I took that job. That's a job you get when you go to the bathroom and you come back and you've been made president. So, but Mark's been a great help and he's sort of the master of the banners that you see around town announcing our events. So it's good fun. Sorry, I like to be mobile when I do that. This microphone is kind of rigid. Anyway, Teresa Rose is here. Teresa is the woman who's been working to maintain and improve the traffic islands, and we'll have a whole presentation on that, but we can thank her for her great efforts there. And Cindy Harper is our newest member. She was elected to the board this week. So Cindy, welcome, and we look forward to your contributions. So we talked about the question cards. They did that at the State of the City address and it worked really well. So please fill them out if you have something to ask about. So what does B&A do? Baywood Neighborhood Association, we changed that from our original name. How many know the original name of this organization? A few, great. Baywood Owners Improvement Association, yes. But we expanded it to neighborhoods because we felt it was important to welcome people whether or not they own a home. So that's why one of the main reasons. We do an annual meeting that's more or less required, but we have great times at it. Last year we broke a record with the number of people who attended. I think, we're well over 100 people showing up. Typically meetings like this might have 10 to 20 people, but we're very happy about that. The Baywood Summer Social, AKA the Ice Cream Social, but we've expanded that. And that's a fun event because it welcomes children, provides activities for them. And we get ice cream and we get pizza donated by Amici. So it's a lot of fun and a great place to meet people. Teresa will tell you all about Baywood's beautiful butterfly islands. This is a project that's been quite a bit of fun to do. We do a Holiday Lights Award. Every year we drive around and we nominate homes that do a particularly good job with holiday lighting, and the board votes and picks a winner. And that person is so designated until the next year. The Outstanding Home Maintenance Award is actually a program that San Mateo United started years ago. And the idea there was to give people an opportunity to demonstrate the pride they have in their homes, to the community. And when we did it during the year of COVID and everyone was on the microphone, the audience was so emotional when they heard how much people love their homes and how much care and feeling they have for it. It's really special. So we're happy to participate in that. The biggest problem is it's a tough field and it's hard to pick a winner, but we do our best. We also run a very successful yard sale. Mark Greco has been doing that for a while, and we will do it again this year, but we are looking for people interested in helping because Mark wants to retire off that duty. So hint, hint, we're looking for help. We do try and coordinate with the city government. Tasks can go all over the place, and we do participate with San Mateo United, whatever programs they're doing. So our communications and financial support, We produce Baywood Bulletin emails roughly monthly. And that's a great way to keep up to date with everything that's going on in the area. We mail a paper newsletter twice a year. And we have a website, a Facebook, and Nextdoor postings. And we had to get the help of an expert. So we went to Aragon High School and we found a high school student as an intern to come in and make all of that work. And Kiana is here with us, sitting up front. So in terms of financial support, we've been supporting the high schools, Aragon, Baywood, and Burrell for quite some time. Typically things that aren't funded, but need assistance from outside. So we do a lot of work with art programs. And during COVID, we did things like help them supply Wi-Fi hotspots for kids who couldn't get onto their school materials because they didn't have coverage. So that's the kind of thing that we do, art supplies for homeschooling. And most recently, we discovered that Aragon has a mental health program for dealing with kids in high school who are having serious issues. So we're very happy that we can contribute to that for the benefit of our community. So those are the kinds of things that we do. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Teresa, who will tell you how the traffic islands became Baywood's beautiful butterfly islands. So Teresa.
Thank you, Mike. Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Rose, and I joined the board a few years ago. And my focus has been to bring beauty to our islands, and through changing the landscaping. So you can see the islands up here. There are 8 of them. Isn't that surprising? I was surprised to know there were 8, and they're named there. And Mark Greco, our former president, identified their locations, and the 2 that we've worked on are A and G. Just so you can understand what the map is, what it's doing there. We have 8 islands and 8 captains, island captains, and they keep the islands tidy from trash. So we very much appreciate them too. A lot of the movement here started when I met John Sudi. And John and I had a very similar vision for the islands to be California natives. And that would be encouraging, that would be a habitat where more birds and bees and butterflies could come and partake. And also the other benefit of that is that they would inhabit our neighborhood more. So we'd have more birds and bees and butterflies in our own backyards and front yards. So we thought that was a really great idea. And that's why we're calling it Baywood's Beautiful Butterfly Islands. And eventually, when the plants are mature, the other benefit of this is that they don't require irrigation. So that's great in times of drought for them to just sustain themselves. Then John Sudi and Jim Murphy, they volunteered to offer their artwork for the island. And so we took them up on it. And with the help of Zoetic Tapestry Project, which is John's nonprofit, and that nonprofit is very special in that it supports environmentalism, it supports plantings like what we're doing, and artwork in the community. And so it was kind of a partnership. Through Zoetic Tapestry Project, we were able to have all of the plants paid for and all of the installation done through Zoetic Tapestry Project and a year of maintenance as well. So, and the irrigation. So it was a big gift. It was a big gift. So let's go to I want to show you the first island that we started off with. It was the Kentucky Nevada island. Do any of you remember that island looking like that? That was what it looked like. This is actually part of the reason it looks like this is it didn't have any irrigation. So it couldn't really create greenery. And this picture is actually after we already did all the cleanup work on the island. So so before it was even less tidy. So anyway, that's the island that we started out with. And so these are the pictures before, and now get ready. This, voila, there it is. The island with John and Jim's artwork, the butterflies in their artwork. It totally is complemented by the native plants, and the native plants are also complemented by his artwork both ways. So so we're just really delighted to see that artwork up there. And also in the evenings, it is illuminated, so you don't miss the artwork in the night. So now I want to show you our latest island that's been redone, and that's the one at 3rd and Parrot. And so this was freshly done. This was done November 2023, so just brand newly done. All these little 1-gallon plants were popped in the ground, and the roots are just spreading out. But you can see how it's going to be just really charming. Right now, all the white plants are the yarrow, and just follow it. Keep your eyes on it so you can see how it develops. It's going to be really pretty. So far, as you can see, we've done 2 islands, and there are 6 more to go. So that is our vision, to do all 8 of the islands. And so if anyone is interested in this project that I'm involved with, and John is involved with too, John is really interested in hearing from people as well. Comments, ideas, feedback, whatever. You can get a hold of us. We're here afterward, or through the BNA, and find out, and just email us, and love to hear from you. John is very, very humble about wanting any appreciation. We have a little appreciation for him. And I'm sorry, John. He really wants, and I do believe I covered it pretty well. He wants the Nordic Tapestry Project to really take the appreciation, and we're still grateful to John. So we have a little certificate for him that you can see here. So I'm not sure what John is in the room, but back there, can I give it to you, John? I'm sorry. I think this is very pretty for you to have this appreciation from us, because we're so grateful for what you do.
Okay, great. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Teresa, and my thanks to John too. It's been a lot of work to do that. So next online is Captain Matt Lethin, who will bring you up to date on public safety issues.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Like Mike said, my name is Matt Lethin. I'm a captain with the police department. It's my pleasure to join you tonight. My goal tonight is to share a little bit of information about public safety in your neighborhood, in the city, and also to share about some of the progress and initiatives that are going on with the police department. So, let's see what we got here. No, there we go. All right. So, okay, what I'm going to start out with is I will tell you that your neighborhood is what you probably already know, a very safe neighborhood. And what you look up here is for the entirety of 2023, all of the cases that our officers and staff took. There are not many cases. And as you know, from a place where it's primarily residential, fairly affluent, and very safe. Generally, when we come out and we're taking cases, they have to do with property crime. So you'll see that the first kind of the large pieces of that pie have to do with things like theft, burglary, either from residences or vehicles, as well as other petty theft, which usually is package theft or something of that nature. When we really start drilling down to the smaller pieces of the pie, and we're talking about collisions or other cases, there are not a lot of cases. And really what we would expect in this type of neighborhood that's primarily residential. This slide is really just meant to give you an idea of, what are our police staff doing on a day-to-day basis? When you see officers, our community service officers, or others, what are they doing? Well, the largest piece of that pie are traffic stops. Our officers and our motor officers are out there trying to address roadway safety and any traffic complaints. You'll see as well some of the other categories there are medical calls. We primarily don't go unless fire requests us. So sometimes we go out and help them. Burglar alarms, parking complaints. Sometimes we do get 911 calls or calls about suspicious activity. I will continue to thank you and appreciate and also encourage you guys to continue to call us. If you see something, usually what we'll tell you is that you as residents, community members, you know your neighborhood better than anybody. So please, if you see something, say something, give us a call. Thankfully in San Mateo, we're not so busy. We can have our officers get out there. But again, this is just to give you a sense of, what are our officers doing in your neighborhood? And then I really just wanted to give you a sense of, overall in San Mateo, what is public safety like? What's the level of crime like? Well, if I were to tell you two main things that, police employees deal with, it's primarily property crime and then also substance abuse related issues. Those substance abuse related issues, really what we're talking about is impaired driving, drunk driving, public intoxication, or drug violations. As well as when we look at the biggest kind of part of that chart, property crimes citywide. And I'll talk a little bit more about different trends, but generally speaking, that's one of kind of the things that our employees spend the majority of their time on. So some things I wanted to share with you that we're excited about or that I want you to be aware of. First, I'll share some crime trends. So what we've seen citywide, and this can impact your neighborhood as well, we've seen crime trends come and go, but vehicle break-ins at times, especially during the evening hours. So what I'll do is I'll tell you, we've noticed a little bit of an uptick there. So we've increased patrols and our officers are looking to address that and find violators. What you can do is make sure that you lock your cars, you don't leave valuables in your car overnight. And if you see something suspicious, please give us a call. Too often we do hear people saying, we didn't want to bother you. You're never bothering us. Package thefts, we do at times see upticks there. So things you can do is if you know you're going to receive a delivery, right? Make sure that if you're not home, you ask a neighbor maybe to bring it in or you schedule them to be delivered when you are home. Stolen vehicles, we do see sometimes crews from outside the area will come into our city and look to steal cars. Again, really what we look to do is we say, just please give us a call if you see something suspicious. Thankfully, under the leadership of Chief Barberini, we actually have an officer assigned to the Vehicle Theft Task Force for our county, and they specifically work to target and arrest those type of crime gangs. Retail theft. I did want to spend a little bit to talk about retail theft. For our region and statewide, we've seen a massive uptick over the last couple of years. We're working purposely to combat retail theft and how it impacts our retailers and business community. We've made some strides. We've also been successful in obtaining some separate funding sources through outside grants to really be able to get some specialized equipment and conduct some specialized details to combat retail theft. One thing that we're very grateful for is the amount of support we have from you in the community and city leadership, really when we can use technology to combat crime. Really what I'm talking about is our ability to use license plate readers as well as drones. We've been able to bolster our drone program, which really gives us kind of the eye in the sky when there's a call for service or a critical incident. We're able to kind of deploy our resources much more effectively, as well as, and we're excited about this, the kind of integration of a citywide camera system and really being able to have that surveillance camera. The surveillance cameras are great because they deter crime, and when crime unfortunately does occur, it gives us investigative leads to follow up on. Expansion of crisis response. We're really proud of this program. We have a mental health clinician embedded in our police department. She responds basically with officers immediately when there's a crisis response mental health issue. Thankfully, under city leadership and Chief Barberini, we've been able to now add a second clinician, which means we're covering a greater part of the week, more days of the week have coverage and more hours of the day. Really, we're connecting people in crisis with an expert therapist as quickly as we can. Oh, community service officers. These are non-sworn staff. They wear uniforms, but they're not armed, and they go out, they do a great job taking reports, doing education efforts, outreach, and we've been able to increase the amount of community service officers that we have to get out there. They handle parking issues and other matters. It's really bolstered our ability to serve you and the rest of the city. We talked a little bit about organized retail theft. We're proud of that. We're feeling fairly confident that we're going to make some progress. We're already seeing some anecdotal strides in the right direction of driving down retail theft. And then finally, homeless outreach. I wanted just to kind of really highlight the fact that we have our own dedicated homeless outreach team. They're seen as really kind of the pillar or kind of the example for the rest of the county. And they're out there every day talking to those members of our community who are unsheltered, who are lacking services or housing, and connecting them and really helping them improve their lives. One other thing I wanted to do is show you a face. So you have a dedicated area commander or area lieutenant. Probably many of you are familiar with him. I know Glenn Texera is a regular at these meetings. He really enjoys the relationship with your neighborhood and with the board. But you can see his contact information up there. If you ever have a question or something, just kind of a matter of concern or something you want to bring to the police department's attention, and it's not in progress, right? It's not something that's happening right now. If it's right now, give us a call, either 911 if it's an emergency or non-emergency if it's not to that level. But if you just have something it's bugging you, you want to follow up on, you have a question, feel free. Either give him a call at the number shown there, or you can send him an email. I'll also have some of his business cards out on the desks outside. They're already out there. Thank you so much. But please get a hold of Glenn. He does want to hear from you, and he wants to be able to help you with whatever it comes to your attention. Finally, the last bit of advice, and I love seeing so many people turn out for a neighborhood meeting. You have an engaged neighborhood, right? And an engaged neighborhood is a healthy, thriving, and safe neighborhood. If you haven't already done so, please follow us. We want you to be informed. I know Chief Barberini really pushes forward the idea of sharing information and being a transparent department and police agency. So if you can follow us on social media, you can sign up to receive emails and posts. We're really wanting to share either crime trends or what we're doing, so you are aware and you can really take the right steps to be, as safe and happy as you can be. And with that, that is all I have. Thank you so much.
As the sign says, next on the agenda is our city manager, Alex Khojikian.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm Alex Khojikian. I'm the new city manager here with the city of San Mateo, and I'm coming up on 6 months on the job. And I have to say, this is an amazing community. And I'm just so grateful to the council for entrusting me to help lead the organization and really working with such a dedicated staff team that brings it day in and day out to serve this community. And, I'm just full of thanks and full of gratitude. And so with that, this evening, I wanted to go over some of the 2023 highlights, and then at the very end, I can talk about the historic resources programs in the districts and kind of talk about next steps from the city side of things on that. And so just a brief overview of our accomplishments, and we'll jump right in here, is public safety. So what I told the council in my interview to be the city manager here in San Mateo is really, in order for us to do all the fun things or even talk about just all the great initiatives and things happening in this community, you have to have the foundation is public safety. We got to make sure that our community feels safe, our businesses feel safe. It's part of the vibrancy and the fabric of this community. And so got to take that serious. As you know, when you really look at the history of cities and why they incorporated public safety is really the fundamental, really at the ground level of all that. And so just really grateful to our 176 staff members over at our San Mateo Consolidated Fire Department who serves this community. They responded to 16,000 incidents. They inspected 3,500 buildings. And so they have to do annual inspections in our community to make sure that the buildings that we're in and occupy are safe for everyone. And then we also graduated 22 CERT volunteers as well. And so that's the Community Emergency Response Team. And so if you haven't done it, I highly encourage it. I've been a CERT volunteer. I have my backpack in my office. The mayor can attest to that. But I believe it's really great because in a time of disaster, we got to rely on each other as neighbors and come together. Moving on to continue on our public safety, our police department and Captain Lethin did a great job of really detailing the work that we're doing and providing great tips for the community, and also that you guys are our eyes and ears. But they've responded to 173,000 calls for service. That is remarkable in this community. 90,000 incidents and connected over 150 homeless residents with services to really help them, support them, and uplift them to hopefully get them out of homelessness. Received over 200 crisis calls with our crisis wellness program. And we're actually adding another crisis counselor to our team who's going to be supporting not only the city of San Mateo, but also Foster City. So we're doing a great job in this area. And then additionally, it was great. I was meeting with our police chief and the administrative staff with PD and really learning about how, if you have to interact with our police department or have a call for service, we have a system that'll actually text you to let you know that we're on the way. And if we're delayed on that, we'll go ahead and we'll follow up. This is great state-of-the-art technology, and then be able to close the loop where you can now take a survey, a satisfaction survey. And so I'm asking the chief to go ahead and share those survey results with me so that we can make sure that we're meeting top-notch service to our community. On the infrastructure and planning for our future, one of the big things that this community has experienced, and I'm just thankful to our staff, that our public works staff team and our parks team that have really stepped up to really help prepare us for this upcoming winter, because I know this community really experienced hardship and flooding with the New Year's Eve storm previous year. And so with that, the community went ahead and supported a Prop 218 measure where property owners went ahead and voted for a tax to support stormwater initiatives for projects for the future. And this will really help our entire community be able to be resilient in times of storms and disasters as well. And so we'll be coming forward with a stormwater master plan that'll set out basically as a guiding document for this community to be able to tell us about the infrastructure needs moving forward on the flood side. Continuing on with infrastructure, having a good pavement management index. So in the business, they call it PMI. There's a lot of acronyms in local government. Our public works director could speak to it. But I know here in San Mateo, I believe we're at 70%, which is a really good score for our pavement management index program. And that's because the city council and previous administrations have really prioritized making sure that we reinvest in our local streets. And we got to be able to maintain those streets too, because when they get so bad, there's about a handful left here of failed streets that you literally have to, it's no longer slurry sill. So what you'll see when you repave streets is that we'll come over, we'll grind it down and put a whole new sill to smooth. That's pretty much the low cost way of you maintaining, or the city maintaining, this infrastructure. But at times when things get really bad, where you really see the potholes where it's deteriorating, some of these streets are 60, 70 years old, where you have to actually grind the whole thing down and take it all out. And then you're actually hitting the soil. And so some of our contractors' equipment, it's actually sunk into the street. And so really have to work through that. It costs a lot more money. And so we're trying to proactively maintain our smooth streets here so that we don't have to deal with the costly impacts of those bigger, more expensive failed streets. So planning for the future, affordable housing, when we talk to community members, as I've been going around in the last 6 months, really talking with community members, one of the top things on their minds is just the cost, the affordability to live here, or to want to have your children, or to be able to age in place at the same time. It's very, very expensive here. And so one of the big new beautiful projects that we have in downtown is Kiku Crossing, which is a partnership with Mid-Penn with 225 affordable new units. That I believe we are going through the lottery. I don't know if it's the lottery or the registration period right now to be able to identify who will be occupying those units. But we also have the new parking garage with 526 new parking spots. And that just opened up on Monday. So if you're going downtown, want new additional parking, you can go ahead and visit that garage. So that's a major accomplishment. So I would say give a hand for that. And so this was on city property, both these developments, the parking garage and the housing, to make it possible. And the city's contribution was about approximately $25.5 million. So connecting people, building community. I'm a firm believer that libraries build communities. Here we are tonight in our library, ground floor here in the Oak Room. And so just many thanks to James and the whole library staff and team. They had over 357,000 visits to our libraries here in the city of San Mateo, and over 1 million items circulated. That is something else. And as we move forward from going from the old days of going and getting your book and Dewey Decimal System, now we're having to really online digital. And so seeing those numbers, they keep going up. So we have over 200,000 items that were circulated, and libraries aren't just about books. There's programs here for our community from all ages and all levels. And so, as I said, libraries build communities. Just connecting people and building. I have to do a plug. National Library week of April 7th through the 13th. San Mateo really celebrating our arts and culture. So I invite all of you to participate. You can find more information probably here in the lobby or online on our website as well. So just San Mateo Management Administration. This is kind of the back of the house deal. It's all the functions that really support the rest of the departments and also the community. It's not only the city manager's office of really implementing the policies of the council and delivering great services to our community, but the finance department making sure that we're on strong financial ground. Our attorney's office making sure that we try to limit our exposure to liabilities and litigation. Our city clerk, one of the best city clerks, and she's going to be retiring, Patrice Old, making sure that our records are taken care of and making sure that our council meetings run smooth as well. Information technology, you don't think about it until something goes wrong. I don't know if you've seen that at your house. And so when it's out of sight, out of mind, I tell our IT team of 15 professionals that they're doing a great job, because I don't hear much about the issues there, but they really bring it to support our community. And human resources, I really believe it's the nervous system, because we got to attract, retain the best employees to serve this community. And so without human resources, we couldn't do it. So moving on to our recreation program, we have over 5,000 kids in programs last year, and over 1,200 seniors that have actually taken advantage of our transportation program. 60,000 hours of fields and booking, and we responded to 80 storm-related calls for services with the recreation department, and really being able to provide an active lifestyle for our community members. Green space matters, our open space matters. We have over 200 acres of parks. I, really encourage all of you to take advantage of that. I was just up at the top of, it's Sugarloaf, right? Our one big open space park out there, and going to the top, and the view that's up there, if you ever get out there, it is gorgeous. What a special place. And that's one of our wonderful parks here in San Mateo. So one of the biggest policies that a city handles once a year is the budget. It really tells the values of your organization. Numbers tell stories. And so I always say, if you really want to get to know what's going on in a city and know the values, you got to go look at the budget, because that'll tell you where we're budgeting and where we're prioritizing our funds and our finances to really focus on meeting the community's needs. And so this past year, the council went ahead and adopted a budget. Right now, we're having a deficit spend because of previously just the forecast economically. So we'll have a mid-year budget update. And it's a plug if you want to come and see us online or visit us at City Hall on Tuesday. to talk about just how we're doing on the budget front and next steps. We had some major hiring completed. Myself, as the city manager, a new assistant city manager, finance director, and most recently announced that Matt Fabry is our new public works director too. So he'll be stepping up and helping lead a department of 160 staff members. We've been able to come to approved agreements with 3 different labor groups actually in the last 6 months, and really taking care of our staff for the next 3 years. And we have 4 more to get through by the end of this current fiscal year. And then we recruited our first youth advisory commissioners to serve on the Parks and Recreation Committee. So really getting the youth voice. And we're not stopping there. We're going to be continuing to do more. And so the council is going to be doing more work to identify where we want to have more youth commissioners get involved in our community. So here's my plug. If you or anyone you know is interested in jobs, we're hiring here in the city of San Mateo. It's a hard market to get good people to serve in local government. And we're not alone. This is up and down the peninsula. That's actually the whole state. I was just at a city managers conference and everyone's struggling with this. A lot of the younger generation isn't as interested in getting into local government, so we got to do a better job to get people of all ages and backgrounds to get involved and really step up to serve the community. So you can go to the City of San Mateo's website or on CalOps, and you can see, I believe we probably have about 30 postings right now for different jobs that might be of interest to you or your family members or friends. Please, word of mouth is the best way to get the word out. So here you all, if you guys talk to your friends and family members, it'd be great. So celebrating our diverse community. One of the greatest things that I say that really attracted me to applying for the job for San Mateo is really not only the diversity of us demographically, and this racial equity mural that you see downtown on B Street really shows, it's 10 different cultures and the patterns and the fabric that unites all of us. But I really believe that diversity is unity, and diversity is our strength. And it's not just the demographically, but I also believe just from our cityscape, if you really think about just what a vibrant downtown we have, the great diverse neighborhoods, shopping centers, the waterfront, just from our parks, it's just such a special place. And so it's one thing I say, we celebrate our diversity not only as community members, but also just where we're at geographically. So I'll just really quickly give an update on our historic resources program and the work that we're doing in this area and on districts. On February 1st, they mentioned it early on in this meeting, the city went ahead and held basically impartial, just a factual webinar on historic resources and districts and really focusing on how they are designated. Also just talking about what are some of the protections, how you could get some modifications, and just really trying to share as much information as possible with the community. The next steps just on the city's process on historic resource programs is really with our general plan update. We'll be having meetings on March 4th and 18th, and that's one of the policies for consideration for the council. And so if you're interested about just where the city goes with the historic resources program, I encourage you to show up to the March 4th and March 18th meetings. After that, what'll happen is if the council goes ahead and adopts the general plan in March, in May, we'll come back with an implementation schedule. And that's another opportunity to really think about just what is the timing of the policy. So we'll adopt the plan, but then we got to figure out within that plan, there's hundreds of policies. So how do we implement those policies? It'll be at that meeting in May, we'll go ahead and we'll prioritize at that point. So I'll stop there. I could keep going on. I'm excited and jazzed to be your city manager here. It's so great to see such a wonderful turnout of the neighborhood and people involved and neighbors coming together. So just with that, I just want to thank you and I'll pass it back to you. All right, thank you.
Well, the next topic is the state of the city. And Lisa Diaz Nash is up.
Does anybody need to stand up and stretch? You've been sitting here for a few minutes, so wave your hands, wake up. But thank you all so much for coming. I see some friendly faces that were here on Monday night when I did the State of the City. But really, it's an opportunity for us to get together and talk about what's happening in San Mateo. And I really want to thank this community. This is my home turf, right? This is the district that I represent. And I am so grateful to all of you for your involvement, whatever your side of whatever issue it is. Being engaged is the most important thing we can do. And so I really want to say thank you to all of you in person and those of you on Zoom who took time out of your personal lives to be part of this. I really, really, really am grateful. And thank you. Really, you don't know, we got super special representation from our city staff tonight. So thank you to everyone in city staff. I'd like to, one more. So, okay, with that, I'm taking off my Baywood Neighborhood Association hat and I'm putting on my mayor hat. There we are. So that's what we're going to do. And please, I've left cards outside. If anyone has any issue at any time, please let me know. First off, first question, can you hear me? Is that okay? Because I have a soft voice to begin with. So I will love this microphone. I will try very hard. So I guess what I said on Monday, I will say again. I believe that one of the most important things in government, particularly local government, is to help people see that government can be a positive source of change in their lives. And you see it every day in local government. If those potholes get fixed, if the police come when you call, if someone puts out a fire, or if someone in one of our parks helps your kid in a game. I mean, all of this is really improving our quality of life. And that's the passion that has guided me and has really inspired me the whole time. And the foundation of that for me is very much community partnership. So what I said on Monday night, I will say again, that my theme for this year as mayor, because in San Mateo, we rotate our mayors and everyone gets a year. My theme is everybody invited, everybody engaged. I want debates, I want participation, I want laughs, I want whatever happens to be, but I want you engaged. And this is because only together, when we all talk about something, can we really make the best vision for San Mateo, not just for tomorrow, but for 20 years from now, for our kids' kids, for people we don't even know will be in San Mateo. We have to plant those seeds today. And the priority, as City Manager Khojikian said, of our council and our city staff this year and beyond is focusing on the basics. It may not sound as sexy, but we are all about, as he said, recruiting and developing the best staff possible, because if you don't have great staff, and currently we're way down, we are way understaffed, but if you don't have that great staff and then retain them, give them career paths, then you can't do all the things we want to do for our community. So please help us find the best people and help us develop them. We also want to really focus on our essential services, like our aging infrastructure. And thank you to everybody in the community for coming out and voting for the passage of the recent ballot initiative. For the first time, we will have a dedicated revenue stream. And we will show you every quarter how that money is being used. We want to be as transparent as possible. Captain Lethin talked about the system where you could call in and see what's happening with your call, get a follow-up report. I am incredibly jealous of that capability. I want that for all of our city functions. So as Sean in the back is always saying, I sent in an email. I don't know what's happening. Now, at the city, they may be working very hard on it, but we need to have better communication back and forth. So we're going to start to invest in building a similar system of transparency and openness for every city function, not just the police. So congratulations to the police for starting it off. So really talking about next year and where we're going, we did a lot, as City Manager Khojikian told you, in 2023, put that on steroids in 2024, because in addition to, oh, look at that, we've got cleanliness is up at the top. In General Plan 2024, that General Manager or City Manager Khojikian told you about, that is really the foundation for our next 20 years. Think of it as a strategic plan. It outlines our vision for our community. And it's a roadmap that we have to work on together. So we have that high level vision, but we have a lot of work to do together to get it implemented into reality. So don't think you're off the hook. We're going to be asking for all of you to stay involved. And after 7 years of working on this plan, I can, with joy, say it is ready. It is published on the website, strivesanmateo.org, the general plan and the environmental impact report about it. Now, I'm sure you're not all going to run home and digest 600 pages tonight, but it is there. Take a look. There are executive summaries. It's where your city's going and the impact of your involvement. So our Planning Commission had a meeting on the 30th of January. They voted to recommend adoption. As City Manager Khojikian said, we will be talking about it on the 4th and the 18th of March. If you have comments, you want changes, make sure to come to the meeting on the 4th. The meeting on the 18th is really sort of the last meeting. So if you want something changed or you really want to be heard, try your best to come to the 4th or send an email. All of that is so important. It also is a framework to offer guidance for improving health and improving infrastructure disparities among San Mateo's equity priority neighborhoods. We want all of our neighbors to thrive all across the city. There we go. And there's the QR code if anybody wants to take a picture to get straight to San Mateo, Strive San Mateo. And it really, our general plan celebrates what we love about the city, our neighborhoods, our open spaces, our downtown, and commits to protecting it. And it also allows for higher heights and more density close to transit. And think of it, that will make it easier for people to go downtown, to make our downtown more vibrant while maintaining the beauty of San Mateo's lower density neighborhoods like Baywood. So thank you. I know a lot of you have been involved in this process over many years. Thank you. Go home, take a break, and get ready for the implementation phase because we're going to need your help then. So one of the most important chapters in that general plan is our housing element that many of you have probably heard something about. It's also identified at that strivesanmateo.org website. But it is the framework for our housing goals and policies and guidance for the creation and preservation of housing we know we need for our young people, our aging elders, and everyone who wants to come to San Mateo, that we want to be here. And so I have very good news. After a long time of work and people like Manir Sandir in the back of the room and her team were very involved on the housing element, we have received word from the state government that we are in substantial compliance with state regulations, which is a huge hurdle to get over. And many cities across the state have not gotten there yet. So we're going to have adoption hearings for the public on March 12th and April 1st, where you can come and learn more. But that will lead us to get an expected full state certification shortly thereafter. And that will allow us to then go and start to implement all the policies that we have. So we have to continue to work together on that. And it is a city community accomplishment we all can be proud of. So what does that mean for us in our neighborhoods? Go to that page. We were given a very ambitious goal by the state of 7,015 housing units that we have to zone for. Not that we have to build out in the next 8 years, but we have to zone for in our housing element. And we all have been part of discussions about how do we do it? Where do we do it? How tall, how dense, back and forth. And we have to acknowledge many of them have been very difficult discussions, but they are really important for us to continue to have to build out the future vision of San Mateo. And so really one of the most important sections is that our General Plan 2040 housing element assumes the creation of higher and denser residential zones along our major railroad transit corridors and along El Camino. And the reason why, the strategy behind that and the thinking is that it will ensure and encourage transit-oriented growth, it will reduce greenhouse emissions, and it will support our downtown businesses. And we've had back and forth discussions about this. But at the end of the day, because we are a city that listens to our residents, we have a law in the books called Measure Y, which capped our heights and densities. We are going to go to all the voters in San Mateo in November and ask you to amend the current height and density measures or limits of Measure Y just in those specific areas along the transit corridors and where we already have higher density, so we can meet that 7,015 unit goal. Many people say, I don't want any more growth. That's nice, but we don't have that option, nor do we really want that option. We want people to continue to come to San Mateo. We want young people to be able to stay in San Mateo, and we always have been a welcoming place. But our state has said, here's what has to happen, and it requires us to achieve that goal. So we essentially have two options. We can adopt this particular transit-oriented development as the city is recommending, or if the voters decide we don't want that, then we will have to move that growth through all of our neighborhoods. So that means increased buildings, apartment complexes, condos. And so that is a discussion we want to have all summer long with all of our community to really try and educate and see where the community wants to come out. You're going to hear lots more about this, but I thought it was important enough to spend a couple of minutes on it because it is a critical milestone and we are at a critical juncture for our city. And our goal together is to create a vibrant, welcoming community for the future. So let's go on to something we all can get behind and all love, our Marina Branch Library reconstruction. Many of you probably have children who've gone to Marina. Maybe you were a kid that went to Marina. It is in tremendous disrepair. Between the state and other sources, we have been so fortunate to get a major grant. So we're going to be able to basically reconstruct the entire branch so that it will continue to give the joy, the knowledge, and the community that it has for many, many years. So I encourage you to go see it now and then watch it in 2025 and 2024 as the reconstruction happens. It's one of the most exciting things I think we're to see. Now on to something that I know is very, very important to everyone in Baywood, because we are right next to downtown. We love our businesses. Yes, hands up. Everybody loves our downtown local businesses. Anybody doesn't, I want to hear from you right after this meeting, because I'm going to convince you. But local shops, restaurants, big businesses, small businesses throughout all areas of San Mateo. We are so blessed to have so many vibrant business communities. And we have so many different kinds of businesses. I don't know if you've been downtown recently, but we have a golf training business. We have a Korean makeup and plaything business. We have all sorts of things going on that our community is so interested in. We also probably have more boba tea places than any other place on the peninsula. And actually our friends, the Downtown San Mateo Association, great merchant association, they're going to celebrate National Boba Tea Day, which is April 27th. So stay tuned. We are going to show you how we love our boba tea places. But our larger vision is to create a true town square on the B Street Pedestrian Mall. As City Manager Khojikian mentioned, we have really built out and painted an incredible mural there. I encourage you to go down, walk, take a look, and then don't just walk there. Buy a meal at one of the restaurants, go check into one of the shops, really try and come together. But we, because we've heard from all of you, are going to launch this year a regular program of street musicians, live performances, and outdoor activities to foster a festive atmosphere on the B Street Mall, but also around the city, because we want all of our businesses to thrive and we want everyone to come down and see what San Mateo has to offer. So we heard from you and we are acting on it. So we encourage you to sign up for the city newsletter, the Baywood Bulletin. We have information outside for that, just so you can stay up to date. I've heard from too many people, wow, I heard about that event. It sounded great. I never heard about it. I never found out. So we've got ways for you to find out. Go sign up and be part of it. So as I said, we're going to work with our Downtown San Mateo Association, our San Mateo Chamber, and we really want to make our existing businesses the best they possibly can be, no matter where they are in the city. So something I also have to share, the San Mateo Chamber just started a Best of San Mateo award program. Shame on us, we never had one. Or if we did, it was so long ago, none of us were here. So go to sanmateochamber.org. We're in the nominating section now. So tell us who you want to be nominated, and then we will have a real voting section, and there will be awards. I want to add an award for the business that most cleans up its shop front, that has the prettiest storefront, that works best with other businesses, but lots of different categories. So please go there. So we are so lucky. Let's take advantage of that. So another major event that is going on, has been going on for many months, and I hope you've been involved in, is our Complete Streets Plan, where we're taking a real integrated approach, not just to the traffic plan or the bicycle plan or the pedestrian plan, but bringing them all together. And we're putting a special focus on North Central because so much of our transportation impacts this very important neighborhood of ours. So there's going to be a Complete Streets Plan output meeting. And Manira, do you know when it's going to be? We'll get back to you about that, but there's going to be something, I believe at City Hall for District 1, which we're all in. And I would encourage you to go there and tell people what you like and what you need about the transit plan. The other thing, we are so excited now, talk about infrastructure. This year you've heard about this before, we are going to finish our wastewater treatment plant upgrade and expansion program. And it is as big as that title is long, but it is over on the bay. Go take a look. This is the largest capital project our city has ever undertaken. The previous council and city administration had to go to Washington to lobby, and we got special loans at low rates. So we saved our citizens tens of millions of dollars in interest payments. And it's a huge accomplishment. It will help us better handle the storm events like we had last January, up to 78 million gallons of water a day. The storm we all experienced produced more than 60 million. So we are well ready for this, but it will also benefit the city's residents of today and future generations by reducing discharge of treated water into the bay and avoiding overflows. So we are trying to protect our city, our bay, for future generations, as for all of us. So I hope that all of us tonight have given you an understanding, and me in particular, why we're so passionate about our San Mateo community and why partnership and engagement between the city and the people who live and work here is so important. And if you can look and find one person, one of those photos that you recognize who has a red phone, because she always is in red, I would encourage you to come up, volunteer for a commission, volunteer for a cleanup. There's one just this Saturday. Help get involved in your neighborhood association. All of you have answered the call for that. Tell your friends and neighbors across the city to do the same. And thank our public staff, our city staff, because they work every day. And while we are filling those gaps, we are really encouraging them, and they are stepping up. Our public works team, as an example, was out 24/7 the last 3 months before the storm season began to make sure our drains were cleaned. And so far, touch wood, we are doing very well. But we are not perfect as a city, but everyone in this room, on the staff, on the council, we love our city, and we really need to work together to make it work and make it sparkle. So in just finishing up, if I can turn to the last page, there we go. I am looking forward. I know it will be a very busy year. I'm looking forward to a very exciting year as mayor, and with our fellow council members, our city staff. I really invite you to work with all of us on anything that interests you, whether it interests your neighbor, if it interests you, we want you involved. So thank you again for being here tonight, for being part of our great San Mateo and Baywood communities. So we're going to take a short break now. Our Baywood Neighborhood Association directors will come around, collect your question cards. We've already gotten a lot beforehand that we will group together, and we're getting the questions for anyone on Zoom. So thank you very much, and we will reconvene in about 5 minutes. Thank you. get some cards. Okay, can you see me here? Okay, thank you. Good, okay.
Those folks that are upset didn't grab this.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you. If you can speak up, sorry.
My understanding was that the money was given by Baywood Neighborhood Association originally to see if we qualified.
Yeah,
Was,
well, to
was-
help fund the study.
help fund the state. My understanding was that was earmarked contributions, not out of the dues.
There were two, I believe there were, I should get Lisa, I believe there were two different fundings. One, we BNA donated to the study, and then there was a fundraiser that was separate and earmarked. That was totally separate.
Okay, so
I don't think, really?
I think, yeah. He said we offered to send the detail about those and see if there was something. Like the city of Yes, we do.
Okay, everyone, it's time to sit down. Who's got a nice big voice? Everyone. Yep, but no whistle. Hello, everyone. Hello. We're having so much fun. Shall I do a cartwheel? Like,
Sorry. I can yell out, I can yell louder than you.
okay.
Excuse me. If everybody could sit down, we're gonna do the question and answer. We have 10 minutes and we have about 50 questions, so. Is that coming? Can they hear? Okay, good.
Did you mark?
Everybody, if you could sit down and we'll get to the Q&A. Thank you, everybody. As I mentioned, I believe at the beginning, we're gonna do the Q&A. We have technically 10 minutes. We have a lot of questions. We also have other questions that were sent to our website. We will answer every question. If not tonight, it won't be tonight because we have too many. They will be answered on the website. Is that correct, Lisa?
Yes, but we also have to talk about the groups, not every single question, but your groups.
Well, basically, if they're duplicative questions, we're not gonna answer every minute detail because some of them are very close. Like there are a number of questions about the Parrot and Alameda intersection. We'll try to answer that, but there's some very specific questions about that. So we'll do the best we can. And if there's still more questions after this, you can definitely shoot us an email or jump on our website and we'll clarify anything else. So.
Great. City Manager Khojikian and Director Underwood and Manager Sandia will come on up and. Captain Lethin. Oh, Captain Lethin is inside. Yes, please. So he is in the expert in the room. So.
You're on the hot seat, everybody. So I'm going to launch into it. So there were several questions on the Alameda and Parrot intersection. So I'm going to kind of try to combine these in one question, or it may be a ramble on question. But so is there any update on the Parrot and Alameda intersection that would include, again, I'm trying to combine these, that would include permanent installation of street barriers? One question was, could it be a four-way stop sign rather than a traffic light? And maybe use the intersection for more islands. So that's kind of an open question on kind of what's going on Alameda and Parrot. What are some thoughts?
Yeah, so I can answer that question. Brad Underwood, I'm the interim public works director. And here you go. Okay, I'll go over here. How about that?
Turn over the microphone.
Thanks for letting me know. I'm Brad Underwood. I'm the interim director of public works. Staff has been working on that project and they've got some design work completed. Basically, the intent is to put some planters out there that will look nice, hopefully. And they intend to take that design back to the community. So that we'll be reaching out to you and be back to you in the spring sometime to get some feedback. And then it's just a procurement process for that purposes. So we'll probably have something installed there by the fall. One of the things we are looking at as an option is if you've been to downtown San Carlos on Laurel Street, they have covered those water-filled barriers that we have like downtown and put that like a planter box over them, a wooden planter box. They look pretty nice. They actually, one of our issues is how do we water the plants that we're going to put in these planters? They've actually developed a system that actually wicks the water out of the water-filled barriers. They have to go back and fill them on occasion, but it's a really nice system. So I actually have staff going down there this next week to look at those to see what we can do about that. So that may be an option that really actually works really well for us at this location. As far as changing it from a signal four-way stop, I don't really recommend that. So.
Thank you. Question to BNA. Why doesn't BNA provide financial transparency and how much is paid for the historical assessment? Michael, or I guess I can try to answer that. And if I'm not answering it correctly, then somebody can step in and correct me. So we do have financial transparency. We don't blast it out there. We're very open. If somebody says, hey, where are you spending the money? What are you spending on Baywood, or what are you spending on the library, et cetera? Ask us. We're happy to tell you. That's just how we are. So we are transparent. I'll ask to be corrected if I'm wrong, but for the initial study to find out if Baywood was an historical district at the very onset, we donated, I think, $2,000 to the study, and that is all we have donated. There are some people who have asked me, well, wait a minute, there was more money raised and BNA was involved in that. We were just the conduit to, as I recall, to collect the money because there was no other way to collect it and get it to, I think it was to the Heritage Alliance, correct? So we were a conduit, but we did not donate that additional funding.
those were people who donated to the historic
Right.
study.
Right.
It wasn't member money for.
Right. Did you hear that? It was donated specifically to the study. So we were a conduit to collect it and it went right to the, again, to the Heritage Alliance. Is that right, Michael? Yeah. Again, any more questions on that? Shoot us an email or jump on the website and we'll answer that. Again, related to the historical district, somebody said, my house is approximately 2,400 square feet. My lot is approximately 12,000 square feet. If Baywood becomes a historical district, would I be able to tear down my house, which is single story, and replace it with a larger 2-story house? Does Alex or, oh,
Could I see the specifics? Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Manira Sandhir. I'm the planning manager. If you watched our Zoom webinar, you may recognize me from that meeting. I did have a team with me at that meeting to answer all your questions, but I'll do the best I can tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. So the question here was about a specific property, and if Baywood was to become a historic district, we do understand there's a pending application with the state for historic district designation. I think it really depends on what that particular property is designated as, if it is indeed a district, whether it's a contributor to that district or a non-contributor to that district. When a neighborhood is designated as a district, city has to review the impacts to that historic district and the changes, to that particular property and how those changes affect the district or the neighborhood as a whole. So it's really hard to give specific responses to your questions. I think it really depends on what individual property owners decide to do with their property. If it is identified as a contributor, the bar is much higher. So if you were to demolish a contributor to a district, it would typically require some kind of environmental review. However, if it was a non-contributor and you were replacing it with something that still kept some of the district characteristics in mind, it may not be an impact. And so there's several standards. I would highly encourage you to look at the webinar because we go into a lot of those details about, what the different caveats are.
define contributor?
Yes, I'm happy to define what a contributor is. So a district, of course, it's like a multiple properties, right? So when a district is established as a historic district, the state looks at what are the individual buildings or structures within that neighborhood that contribute to the significance of that district? Were they built around the same time? That is the important characteristic of that district. Have they retained integrity? Have they had changes over time that, take away from that original kind of construction and architectural style? So anything that retains its historic integrity, was built at the time, that the district is being evaluated for, those would count as contributors. But really, it's in the formal study, and we rely on our architectural historians to determine what is a contributor and what is a non-contributor.
Thank you. I'm going to try to read this. I apologize because I'm having a little trouble with the handwriting, but somebody said I am from the No Cell something group. There will be 200 IG small cell facilities right in front of our home and in our backyard for home internet only. They affect our health and public safety and home values. Could you please reach out to us? Something. We'll be in the hallway. But I guess as a question, kind of what is going on with the small cell installations? If you give us a little background on that, and obviously some people are concerned, maybe you can allay those concerns.
I'm not sure I can allay any concerns, but the city is required to abide by the Federal Communications Commission rules, which actually guide the implementation and installation of these types of devices. So the city, I was here in 2018 when we first adopted our ordinance and created our design standards. They were updated in 2021. I was not part of that because I wasn't here. So we abide by those design standards, and obviously we get a lot of applications. As was mentioned, we've got probably around 200 of those applications. They do put them a lot of times on either the wood poles in town or on our streetlight poles. The city is just responsible for making sure that they meet the FCC regulations. One of the things we cannot look at is the radio wave or frequency aspect of that. That's not something in the city's purview, which a lot of people seem to be concerned about. We are taking steps right now to update our ordinance and to update our design standards. I and a few others met with some of the No Sellout group a couple of weeks ago to get their interest in what they'd like to see updated. We'll be continuing that process and returning to City Council for our recommendations in May. I think the second meeting in May at the City Council. So that's the update on that. Yeah.
Yeah, can I give some anecdotal evidence for that? No. I'm a retired telecommunications.
I don't know. I'm not my meeting.
Yeah. We have about 2 more minutes, so if you don't, I'm sorry, if you could just, again, shoot us a note or whatever works for you. And I'm sorry, I've got about 15 more of these and we've got about 2 minutes, so I apologize. Because I know it's an important topic, I'm gonna try to focus again on the historic district a little bit more with these questions. So now I'll try to combine these. How would approval of historic district impact ADU permitting and approvals? How would it impact affordable housing? And if my home were deemed a historic home, would I need to get any improvement approved by the Historic Society?
All right, I'll try to address them in order. So the ADUs, the construction of ADUs is not affected by whether a site is historic or not. State law allows for ADUs on single-family properties and multifamily properties. There may be some additional analysis to ensure that the ADU is consistent with the design of the original home or the historic home. However, it would not impede the development of an ADU on properties. The second question.
If my home were deemed historic, would any improvements need to be approved?
The city has a process currently for any improvements that you propose to your homes. And I believe the process would remain the same with the city. The Historical Society is not, a city organization, so there would be no requirement from the city side to get any approval from the Historical Society.
Right, well, I've got you here, but if you could read the question and answer that one, that would be great.
There is a question about, will the Historic Society be put on a ballot to be voted on by residents? My understanding is that the San Mateo Heritage Alliance is a separate nonprofit organization. If this question is asking about the Baywood District nomination, the process that's going on with the state, there wouldn't be a ballot, a vote, so to say, for that designation. However, there will be a notice that goes out to all the residents of that potential district nomination, and you would get an opportunity to provide that input to the state directly. And if you are opposed to it, I believe there's a very specific process that you have to send, like a notarized letter to the state stating your opposition to that district nomination.
I believe those letters may come out in June.
It's hard for me to say what the timeline of the state is. I believe they're still reviewing the application, but I don't have any other information. You can reach out directly to the Office of Historic Preservation that's processing that application.
Thank you. Question about how many grade separations will be made downtown and when would the construction start?
Yeah, I think that remains to be seen. There's got to be some initial studies done which have not been occurred yet. I think there's been some very, very preliminary stuff that was done previously, but the city needs to come up with some money to do some study work for those grade separations. I think they're so close together that we'd probably have to do, you know, all of them. So I think that would be what would happen. I think the challenge is gonna be keeping the train system operational while you do that, because you have to keep the train system operational. So, not that it can't be done, but, there will be some challenges with it.
We have a lot more, but we have no time. Okay. This is interesting. Will there be an overpass pedestrian walkway over El Camino Real for walking traffic to downtown San Mateo? I like it.
And that's the first I've heard of that. So, I mean, it could be something that, the city looks into in the future, definitely, but, that, I have not heard of that. I think, again, part of the challenge of that would be, just the space that you need, because those ramps, overpasses would have to be ADA compliant. So you have to have a big, long ramp that gets you up and over the traffic. So it'd be pretty challenging to do, but, nothing's impossible.
One more. Again, I will apologize if your question wasn't answered, but I tried to take the biggies here to get them out there. And again, we will answer any of these others that remain online or on our website. The last one's going to be, I guess, for the mayor. Why do we need to vote on Measure Y in 2024 when we can meet RNHA requirements and Measure Y expires in 6 years? Oh, you're back. You're popular tonight.
I will take a stab at it. So the general plan that is going to be considered by the council on March 4th and March 18th lays out a vision for the next 20 years. So our current housing element cycle is only for the next 7 years now, because 1 year is already passed. It runs from 2023 to 2031. So while our current housing element asks us to create capacity for 7,000 plus units, we anticipate the next housing element cycle to ask for even more housing. And therefore the general plan, which is a longer term vision, is trying to foresee like what is the kind of housing capacity we would have to create. And the only way to do that is by allowing for higher densities in and around transit areas. I hope that Alex do it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. We are past.
Oh, yeah.
See, I was gonna try and get away with taking the line.
All right, everybody, break out your red.
There you go.
We have a case of red wine coming to somebody tonight. And we are, Mr. President, sir, would you please select the winning ticket?
There you are, sir.
All right. Here we go. A case of red wine is going to the person with the ticket number 267-628-1. They must be in attendance to win. Does anybody have 267-6281?
Don't go, because if they're not here.
All right, somebody else. Here we go.
Don't leave, everybody.
Here we go. 267-6297. Oh, somebody was close. No?
Nobody?
267-6297. Woo!
I'm gonna get the winner.
Okay, third's the lucky charm.
Quiet, Larry.
267-6325.
Wow.
Where are these people?
Can I do another one? Maybe we should just open it, I'll drink it now.
But I'm about to give you all a bottle of wine. Here we go. 267. Six. Whoa, we got a winner.
Too late.
Do we have it? Hey! All right, we got a winner. Terrific. See you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming, and we'll look forward to our annual meeting in 2025.
So shall I don you with these?
Yes.